Hello, pod people. This is Gavin. I hope you're going to enjoy this episode. We've made it to Aragon, myself and Neil, but we just wanted to let you know it's a slightly little bit out of date just because we recorded it yesterday on Wednesday. Something very special was happening with Ducati in Italy. You'll find out during the episode what's going on. No Silvan until the very end, unfortunately. He was also very, very busy this week. There's also a couple of glitches. The audio is perfect. The video, for some reason, a few glitches on my end, even though I was in the same hotel as Neil. Very, very weird. But that's just the way it rolls sometimes. Anyway, enjoy the episode. To put things up to date, Ayogura unfit, replaced by Lorenzo Savadori. He's broken his thumb. He's had an operation. Hopefully we'll be back in a couple of weeks, but we'll have to wait and see. And Joan Zarco's been pass fit to be reviewed after FP1. That's all. Enjoy Gas It Out. Hello there, welcome back to another edition of Gas It Out. We are going to be taking a look forward to this weekend's Grand Prix of Aragon. Just a two-man show this week. Unfortunately, Silvan not able to be with us for this recording. We are coming to you from Italy. Myself and Neil Hodgson. How are you, Neil? Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, Gav. I enjoyed having breakfast with you. Obviously, for those of you, you won't know this, but we're in Italy at the moment. We're in the same hotel, in different rooms.
As you can probably tell.
Yeah.
If you have a look at it.
In different rooms. Normally we share, but sometimes Gav likes a little bit of time on his own. So, we've got separate rooms. And we are broadcasting, not quite live to you, from the beautiful Rimini coast.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of say beautiful. I'm not so sure when I look out my window and I just see parasols as far as the eye can see one way and as far as the eye can see the other way. But yeah, we are here in Rimini. We are doing a special that we've got for TNT Sports coming up for you, where Mr. Neil Hodgson gets to try the Ducati. A reminder, as always, if you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube. At Gas It Out Pod is our handle on there. But if you are listening to us, you can also send your comments to us on Instagram, on Spotify as well. If you're on Spotify, you can send those through to us underneath the episode, and we'll try and, like we did last time, try and get through the comments when we can. We are busy, as you can tell now. We're out in Italy. Silvan, unfortunately, not with us this week. He's got lots going on. He's got the Ball d'Or coming up. He's going to be with us over the Grand Prix weekend on TNT Sports. But yeah, we've got a couple of days here. We were filming last night in Misano, Adriatico on the port. We'll be going up to the circuit later today. Neil, you, like you did 10 years ago, like you did 22 years ago, are getting to ride the latest Ducati MotoGP bike, the last ever Des Mercedes 1000, later today. So, yeah, if you've got TNT Sports, you'll see it. I'm sure there'll be some little clips that you'll be able to see on socials coming up, in the future. But I want to know how your nerves are this morning.
No, well, they're not too bad at this moment in time because it's 10 past 10 in the morning. But I get on the bike at 5:30 this afternoon, so it's going to drag because obviously, as you know, we're going to get up to the circuit around about 12:30. I'm going to be with the test team. They're going to explain what all the buttons do. I'm going to do a few practice starts, which is pretty cool. They've actually added the front lowering device on the bike, so I get the full experience of what it's like to start a modern day MotoGP with the front stuck down, the rear of the bike lowered. Obviously, you have a start mode. You've got a button to press to get it into gear as well. I don't know if I've forgotten something. But anyway, they're going to show me all that in about an hour's time or in a couple of hours' time. And then I basically
just dump the clutch.
Then you just dump the clutch. Well, it's funny. Yesterday I was talking to Davide Tardozzi. Eco Lecuona was there actually yesterday. He was testing the 1000cc version of the MotoGP bike, the current bike. And I told him that we were doing this feature for TNT Sports and I'm going to get to do quite a few laps. But I said part of the feature is to do a start. And I said, as far as I can see, once all the, let's say, the rider aids are engaged, it looks pretty straightforward. You just go full throttle and dump the clutch, right? And he literally started laughing. He's like, absolutely not. No, it's way more complex than that. And he was explaining that they've got carbon clutch plates that are quite grabby. There's a small working window. He said you have to be really careful. So if I was slightly nervous before, I was more nervous after the chat with Lecuona. So, but I'm well excited, as you can imagine. Not that it's an excuse, but I fought my bloody mountain bike 2 weeks ago. So I've got some dodgy ribs on my right-hand side, which I could do without. But if you saw the pile behind me of painkillers, I've been popping them. So, but how cool, genuinely.
Is that Dr. Costa in your wardrobe?
I know.
I can see.
Hey, listen, thankfully he's not here. Otherwise, I'd be getting the magic injection. And then you never know what the aftermath of that would be. But I get a full hour with the bike, Gav, which is unreal, isn't it? We are so fortunate. It's taken quite a bit of setting up, but we are going to make the most of it. And we'll tell you all about it. TNT Sports is going to make a sort of standalone program about the history of Ducati, MotoGP, where they started, where they've got to, and that interesting journey from 2003 to 2026, all the success. And at the end, I get to have a little, like I say, a spin on the bike. So can't wait. What dreams are made of?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah, they've obviously, you've had all the rider training. I've been having all the crew chief training as well.
Have you?
From Christian Gabarini and Marco Rigamonti. So I've been working on the bike. Don't worry, Neil. It's going to be absolutely set up perfectly for you.
Oh my God. You're making me nervous now, Gav. You're making me nervous.
Hey, what have you got there as well? That looks a bit retro. Is that an original?
No. So this is the latest Suomi helmet. And
wait a second, is this after Silvan's efforts with the BMW last week? Oh, it's got the dartboard on. This is proper old school.
It's proper old school. It's basically it's been painted by a really good friend of mine, Sander Lam from SL Graphics. He's obviously, if you know anything about helmet painters, he's one of the top guys. He's been painting my helmets for over a decade. Really, like I said, a really good friend. And I told him I was doing this, and he said, "Get Suomi to send me a helmet, and I'll do a replica from your 2000. Last time you were a factory rider, essentially." So, and really kindly, RST have done me a set of leathers to match. So, talk about Gav, all the gear, no idea. I can't wait. So it's going to be so much fun.
All ready to go perfectly wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Later on today. Hey, no, I can't wait. I'm excited for you. I have to say, I'm nervous for you too. But that's why we are in Italy. But let's get on to the matter at hand. While that's exciting for us today, the people want to know what's going to happen this weekend. Of course, it's round 13 of the championship, 10 to go in the MotoGP World Championship, including this weekend at Aragon. And I feel like we've been saying it now for a few races. It's a crunch weekend, but I feel bored of saying it. But every weekend it builds and builds this championship. We still have 5 riders within 41 points. Jorge Martin leading the championship. A really off weekend for Marc Márquez last time out when we were at the British Grand Prix. But you feel like this is the table's turn this weekend, don't you? We go to a place that he's had so much success at in the past. 7 MotoGP wins, 8 in total, because he won there in Moto2 before he went up to the Premier Class, Neil. Am I right in saying, I don't know, it's a crunch weekend. It's such an important weekend, but then I feel like I'm going to say it every race up to Valencia now.
But you are right to start with. And yes, we have said this a lot, but it's really indicative of the way this championship has gone this year. We all thought at the start of the year, Marc Márquez was going to run away with it if he was fit. Obviously, as it turned out, he wasn't fit. So then it's basically meant that due to the fact of a lot of inconsistency for the majority of the riders, the only person who's not been really inconsistent is your championship leader. But he's also not been amazing, has he? Jorge Martin, he's not gone on a run and had loads of wins. So he's picked up the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. Obviously, he's had a win and a few podiums. But it feels like now, after Silverstone especially, I think the majority of the paddock are all simmering, watching, expecting Marc to on this comeback number 12, to basically knock it up a gear, win this weekend, and then sort of take the championship by the scruff of its neck. So it's all eyes on Marc Márquez. I know it's boring if you don't like Marc Márquez. I'm sorry about that, but this weekend, that's the chat already. It's all eyes on Marc Márquez. Everybody expects him to do the double here. If he does the double here, then you'd say it's back on. He's a chance definitely of winning this championship. The opposite is, if he doesn't do the double here, if he loses points again to the Aprilias, you'd sort of say, with the tracks that are coming up, there's a few that are going to suit him, but there's a lot that aren't going to suit him. And what we've learned this year, that one is clearly not 100% fit. We even saw after Silverstone, Ducati with their YouTube channel posted some clips of him straight after the race, basically saying, I can't feel my arm. I've not got control of the bike, which is a big statement. So, yeah, I've got a long-winded way of saying this weekend it's crunch time. It's crunch time, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it pans out. And genuinely, I don't know, and I know you don't. It's going to be a hard one to call.
Yeah, he's won here for the last 2 years. Before that, Enea Bastianini and Francesco Bagnaia had a good battle, actually, remember, in 2021 with Marc Márquez here when he was on that comeback from injury. He obviously won previously before that when he was on the Honda a few times. So he goes so well around this circuit. It's a bit like a home track. I will say Barcelona is the closest to home for him. That's from his hometown of Cervera. I know he lives in Madrid now, but his hometown of Cervera, it's maybe an hour and a quarter to Barcelona, an hour and a half. To Aragon, maybe a couple of hours, 2.5 hours. But there's something about Aragon, isn't there, Neil, that feels more like a home race for him. It is just over the border. He's from Lleida province. It's, the next province along it down into Teruel. I don't know what it is, but it feels like a homecoming. Every time we go there, they have that massive grandstand. Last year, if you remember, the brothers were celebrating red and blue, dancing, ridiculous dancing in front of that grandstand there. It was where he came back to win after 1,000 days, if you remember, when he had that 1,043 days gap from San Marino 21 to Aragon 24, and he won on the Grassini. It's got something special about it. What is it about Aragon and Marc Márquez that go well? And I know if you don't mention anti-clockwise in the first 10 words that you come out with now, then I'm not commentating again on MotoGP.
No, Gav, I'm better than that. No, I think the main reason is it's an anti-clockwise track. No, first of all, I was just thinking when you were saying, why does it feel like this is not only obviously because of Marc Márquez's success, but it feels like a home race. It's the only track we go to, I would say, where years ago, when there was still the aftermath of 2015, where there was a lot of hate pointed towards Marc Márquez from the Rossi army, essentially, that you felt that still at a lot of tracks you go to, you'd come to Aragon and it was like it was 80%, 93%. The majority of the fans there were to see their home hero. And that was the vibe you always got. Obviously helped by the fact that it's a track that works for him. So yes, what are the reasons? It's an anti-clockwise track. What does that mean? Obviously there's a lot more left-handers than right-hand corners. And the type of left-hand corner that Marc excels in. And some of the right-hand corners are heavy braking, which he's good at anyway. So if you're going to design a track to suit Marc Márquez's riding style, it's Aragon.
If we have a look at the track map again, I'll point out for those of you listening, you can go and have a look at this on YouTube. We'll do our best to talk around it. This is from last year. This is mine. Just point out, if you look last year, that it was the 8th round of the championship. It was actually in June that the race took place. So it was early June. Where the Barcelona Grand Prix was this year, that's where Aragon was, and it was early on in the season. But the layout itself, it's got a huge, long downhill straight between turns 15 and 16 at the top there. It's got a long final corner that you come into. It does have a couple of, fast-ish right-hand corners. You turn threes uphill, for example, is one place that you might look at. Alex Marquez will probably also go well here this weekend. But it's around Marc Marquez corner himself, his own name, of course, out of the reverse corkscrew through turns 8 and 9, and then through Marc Marquez corner, accelerating all the way through there. It feels on occasion, Neil, through there, and this is from last year. These are my notes that I still haven't managed to update before this weekend's Grand Prix. But it feels like he can make up a couple of tenths through that corner alone. Usually. Yeah. I just wonder with the way the Aprilia has been working, and the Aprilias have not ever had much success around this venue, haven't always gone well. Last year, I think, in the race that we had at the Grand Prix, I think in the sprint, I think it was a 6th for Marco Bezzecchi. I think 8th for Bezzecchi, in the sprint last year. In the race, it was an 8th for him, a 10th for Raul Fernandez. It never really looked. But I will point out that the stage of the year that we went to the race was early on, before the transformation appeared to happen. Anyway, the way the Aprilia is working, Neil, this is more the long-winded way of me saying, is there a feeling that actually Aprilia may have more to offer this weekend?
Yeah, and that's the ultimate question, and that's why everyone's... Normally, we come to Aragon and you go, it's guaranteed. It's literally Marc will do the double. Like, nobody will lay a glove on him. But what we've learnt this year, everything we've seen from that Aprilia is the step it's made, it goes better through faster sections. You look at the track map, Aragon's got a bunch of them where it should suit the Aprilia. Turns 2, 3, 4. Then once you exit the Marc Márquez corner, so it turns 11 and 12 through that kink, there's a few places, that last corner is fast enough. It's third gear, through 16 and 17. So there are areas on this track where even if they lose a little bit of ground to Marc's magical talent through some of the sections that suit his riding style, they're going to gain it back through the mechanical grip, the natural turning of that Aprilia through the faster flowing corners where the aero sort of takes over. So, and that's why we've got that unknown, and that's why this weekend's pivotal. And this weekend will determine which way the championship goes. I am 100%. I know obviously every round counts, of course it does, but this is the momentum round. This is the start, Gav. This is 10 rounds to go in 14 weekends. I mean, think how crazy that is. I mean, World Superbike's last race was Donington Park. I think 7 weeks, a 7-week gap. We've now got 10 races in 14 weekends, and 6 of them are long haul. So this is the pivotal round, and that's why I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to see what the result is, because it's going to really tee up the rest of the year.
Can I come back to when you were mentioning Marc and fitness? You mentioned it at the Inside Ducati, a really illuminating episode that they gave us after Silverstone. There were a few comments, as you say, straight off the bike, where you feel like, he just wasn't comfortable. He said the tyre was better, the line was, and then actually just his arm wasn't feeling right. How much are his results from Silverstone management? How much are they, I am in this championship now? We know he feels that. He said it. He admitted it, when he got that bit closer, after Sachsenring. Yes, I'm back in the championship now. How much is he managing at the races that clearly things aren't strong at? And how much then do you feel he'll come out and attack this weekend at a place where it has to work for him? He doesn't have a choice this weekend.
Yeah, well, he has to attack this weekend. Again, if you look at the history of this place and his success, he has to capitalise on scoring maximum points at these circuits. What's hard to judge is this is a different approach from Marc. We've seen him injured loads, but I've never seen him be so far off the pace, taking 7th place finishes. I mean, if you go back, you go through the history from 2013, his first year, look how many times he finished a MotoGP race in normal dry conditions lower than 7th place, or lower than 6th place, lower than 5th place. There's only 1 or 2. So for him to finish at Silverstone and be the 3rd best Ducati, obviously he got beat by the Aprilias as well, it's uncharted territory. It's not normal. So it does put more pressure on him this weekend. It almost essentially, if he wants to win the title this year, he then can't afford to tuck the front this weekend at one of his tracks where he's expecting to get maximum points. So, yeah, it's like I said, that's why it's fascinating. It's not a foregone conclusion.
It's also a testament to how good not just the Aprilia is, because the Aprilia is a bike that's working for all 4 riders. That's clear. We're seeing that. Also, the Ducati's working well for other riders, isn't it? And that means there are more people. These are user-friendly bikes in theory, or ones that lots of different riders can get a tune out of. So you expect this weekend, don't you? Expect Alex Marquez to be in the mix. Whether he plays for his brother or not is another matter. it's getting to that point of the year where you're sort of thinking he needs a little bit of assistance, perhaps, here and there. Fabio Di Gianantonio, you expect to be in there. Pecco Bagnaia has also always gone well here. I don't know what's going on. After what I saw from that inside Ducati, how lost he appeared to be and losing it on corner exit, he almost to the point of saying there must have been something on the track. It was a strange crash that he had. But you expect, 2-3 other Ducatis to be in there, as well as Aprilias. And then that way, an off weekend can be a 6th, 7th. But that can also work the other way around, can't it? If Marc is on it this week, and we do expect him to be much closer. Look, Silverstone, Sachsenring wasn't that long ago. Brno, what he did there wasn't that long ago. These races where he performed, we exceeded expectation, aren't too long ago, are they? We mustn't forget that. And if he is on it, by the same virtue that he can get 7th at Silverstone, Jorge Martin could easily be in a 7th place, couldn't he? Here this weekend.
Yeah, and I think that's what's makes it a bit more entertaining, a bit more exciting, this running now to the end of the season. We've had previous years, and most years really, when you look back, in all honesty, how many times is it a 2-horse race? It's quite common, isn't it? I don't know what the percentages are. It'd be interesting to look back over the history from let's say, 2002 when obviously the MotoGP era was sort of invented when we moved to the 4-strokes. What is so good, everything you just said there, what's so good about this year is genuinely, obviously, your championship leader, Jorge Martin, starting to look comfortable, starting to stretch his lead. He could quite easily not only not finish on the podium this weekend, he could quite possibly not achieve 2 top 5 finishes. Because, again, if you look at the results from last year, the Ducatis were so strong around here. I know you mentioned Bagnaia, but this is like, if I was to pick one of his favourite tracks, this is it as well. If Bagnaia wants any sort of nice run into the end of the season, he has to capitalise also on coming to a track that's one of his favourites. And like I said, you mentioned Alex Marquez, outstanding round here. And that's before we start to talk about, obviously, Marco Bezzecchi, who was dominant at the start of the year. The surprise of the year, Ayagura, who's been incredible. Winner last time out, Ralph Fernandez, who's going to come here, obviously a Spanish rider racing in Aragon's, going to fancy his chances. Nothing to lose as well, Gav, these riders that I mentioned. It's not like a Ralph Fernandez has nothing to lose. He's still not out of this championship fight, but if he wants any chance of taking glory at the end of the year, he has to attack and be super aggressive. So, yeah, again, it makes it a sort of tantalising prospect, doesn't it?
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll still be discussing Aragon and some of the news that's been going on. A few signatures have been put down on MotoGP contracts in the last week or so. And there's a comeback for someone in MotoGP that we're excited to see. Back again here on Gas It Out, and again on the video version. For those of you listening, we're showing everyone the World Championship standings. Jorge Martin on top, 240 points to 209 from Bezzecchi, who's in second place, 31 between them. But right behind Bezzecchi, Agura is just 6 behind Bezzecchi. Marc Márquez, 9 behind Bezzecchi. And Di Gianantonio just a single point behind Marc Márquez, so 10 behind Bezzecchi. Very, very tight for those top 5. Ralph Fernandez then in 6th place, 56 behind. Pedro Acosta in 7th place on 163, 77 behind. And Pecco Bagnaia on 143. 97 behind. The reason I do that, top 5, Neil, covered by 41 points. We would talk about it before we had that little break there. You'd fancy any of those riders to outscore each other, wouldn't you? Yeah. Any moment this week. And in fact, any of that top 8, KTM have been allowed. It's happened recently back in Austria. They've been allowed under supervision of the FIM technical inspectors. They've been allowed to not refresh their engines, but we think adjust something on the pneumatic valve, some problem that they were having with their engines this year with a supply that they've obviously had. Whether that changes things, we know Acosta's engines have been turned down a little bit to try and deal with it, to try and mitigate some of those issues. Who knows? Pedro could get back involved here this weekend, Neil. You mentioned it before the break, tantalising prospect we've got, and it's because the championship is oh so tight. And at this stage, it's amazing to see that we've got a championship looking as bunched up as this. It's great for us, great for the fans.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to think, when was the last time we had something like this, Gav? 2015 obviously was a strange old year, obviously.
16 was quite mixed up and down. Lots of different winners that year. Remember, I think we had 8, 9, 10 different winners. 2020, of course, was such an up and down year.
The COVID year.
Joan Mir. I think that's the one most recently where week in, week out, you didn't know who was going to win. You know, Morbidelli was up there winning. You know, Miller was in the mix. It was all these kinds of things going on. Bagnaia was in the mix but didn't win a race that year. You know, there were Dovi was there. You know, all these different bits were at play that year. And it's a similar kind of thing week to week this year. I just think it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, well, when you just look at the sort of the form guide as well, looking at the championship, if you look, it's actually the most competitive person is Raul Fernandez, who's sat there down in, is he 5th or 6th? Sixth. Yeah. He's not out of it. If Fernandez has a really strong weekend, then he's obviously he's right in the mix. So yeah, it's. I think Acosta's out of it, and it's obviously nothing against Acosta. He's obviously overriding that KTM, and I think potentially what you mentioned about them changing that part in the engine will help him because maybe they can run the bike then back to full power without any risk of any mechanical issues. But you just feel his hands are tied in general. Did you say that yesterday? Quite interestingly, just when we were driving here to the track, I was flicking through Instagram just for a change. Just thought I'd just waste another 3 hours of my life. And the stat came up and it was 63-0. And it was Pedro Acosta's qualifying strike rate to his teammates. And basically, the last 63 Grand Prix he's entered, he's out-qualified his teammate, which is ridiculous. What does that mean? Well, it means that when you go head-to-head with Pedro Acosta on the same bike, the exact same bike, it's very difficult to go faster than him round a race circuit. As simple as that. How incredible! And I know, listen, Brad Binder's he's been Brad Binder's teammate for the last year and a half, and Brad's not known as an out-and-out qualifier. I understand that, but it's still impressive. So it just shows like there's not many off weekends, is there, for Pedro? And that's, I think, why we're all so excited about next year. You're going to get Pedro Acosta on potentially the best bike in probably one of, if not the best team. Obviously, with a very strong teammate, that's a lot to look forward to there.
Yeah, of course, his previous teammate being Pol Espargaro. He's back again this weekend, Neil. Steps in once more for Maverick Viñales. The team essentially saying Maverick needs more time. Nicolas Goyon saying that in their preview this weekend. It's worrying, though. After all we've seen, after all we've heard, after some of the comments that Maverick have made, how much is the team saying, really don't rush back, don't come back? But that is us putting words in the mouth. But, you know, how much is there of like, really don't rush back because it's almost not worth it. It would be a sad end, wouldn't it, to Maverick? I know we've been through it a few times, but Paul stepping in again. Shoulder issues, you can tell us, Neil, again, and you'll say it to your blue in the face. They just drag on. They drag on.
Yeah, with this one, I don't know. My gut feeling is it's not really the shoulder issue anymore. That's what I feel about it. We've had so much time off. This has been such a big break with 3 full weekends off. After Germany, before Silverstone, we've had another 2 full weekends off before Aragon this weekend. This is the only period in the year that you get a break. Like I said, it's now relentless. He's not going to. It's not that he's not going to recover. I think they saw his last 2 performances, and you could argue that was shoulder related or attitude related. I don't know. I'm saying that because of what we've experienced over the years with Maverick's career getting closer to the end when he's having issues with his team. We've read the comments, haven't we, from the team manager and obviously from KTM and also from Maverick. And I feel like there's been a decision has been made, and it is, let's just keep him off the bike and let's just run this season out. But to answer your question, what a sad way to end an incredible career. When you look back at Maverick's career, he's never been slow, has he? I mean, from bursting onto the scene as a ridiculoly talented guy back in, what was it?
About 15-year-old.
15-year-old. When was that? Like about 2011-ish. I can't remember when it was, but
yeah,
just 10. Just incredible. And a lot of
success. It wasn't 10. I think it was 11. I remember him winning at Le Mans.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the one where he sort of won there, and in Assen he won when the red flag was about to come out. It started raining, and he got himself to the front, and you thought, hey, this kid's got, he thinks ahead. And and the been a lot of controversies throughout the years. But look, I'm sure Maverick, and the thing is, we haven't heard from Maverick recently, but Maverick is still insistent that he will come back, and let's hope he is able to at least have some sort of swan song. But he isn't going to be sticking around in MotoGP next year. We know that much. His spot in Tech 3 has already gone effectively. Luca Marini has been confirmed this week to replace someone in that Tech 3 squad for next year. He's taking one of those slots. A few people would say uninspiring, but you know what you're getting out of Luca Marini. And I think I did a program the other day with Gunther Steiner. It was one of the most eclectic mixes. You may have seen it on TNT Sports. You may not. And if you have missed it, I do recommend going and watching it. I did a program with Gunther Steiner. The next two names are going to surprise you. Glenn Hoddle, the former England footballer and manager, and Sean Dyche, who was your manager at Burnley for many years and did an amazing job with them. Most recently at Notts Forest, was at Everton, of course, as well. And they were all talking about management. And something that Gunther said during that, he sort of was giving a bit of a lead of what he wants. And what he was saying, Neil, and I think I might have mentioned it on the pod briefly, but he basically said, I want to have one experienced rider. I want to have one benchmark rider in my two-rider lineup. He said also when he was Formula One manager, he wanted this. But he wanted the experience for what it brought the team, the stability, the solidity. You know where you're at. You know that you've not got someone who rides beyond the level of the bike, someone who crashes out every weekend. You know what you're getting. And Luca Marini just fills that brief perfectly. He said, because then when you bring the rookie alongside them, you know pretty quickly where the level of the rookie is. If you see them getting closer to your benchmark and maybe going beyond them, then you know with a rookie you've got projection, you've got a chance for them to go even higher. If they're not even reaching what is a benchmark and you 100% know what you're getting, your bang that you're getting for your buck with Luca Marini, then instantly you know what your rookie's capable of. So he sort of sees it as a bellwether. Look, you can agree or disagree with that, but that's his take. And it feels like Luca Marini fills that role in that team, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's not like hold the front page on this one, is it? No one in the paddock tomorrow when we get there will be going, oh my God, this is fascinating. But like you've just explained, I can see the for, I can see the against. My question mark is, next season starts and his teammate straight away, who's going to be centre ages, it's not been announced yet, but everything we're hearing. So the young, super talented Australian moving up from Moto 2. If centre ages is faster than him straight away, and you've got Marini on a 2-year deal, what are we doing? What I don't understand is, in this position, right, Luca Marini's not got a lot of options. In fact, he's got no options. He's got one option, and that's he's on his knees hoping that the Tech 3 KTM squad would have signed him. They have done. But the team and the manufacturer holds all the cards. So sign him on a 1-year deal. Let's see how he fares. And obviously, everything you've just said, you use him as your benchmark. He's great for your rookie. And then you're in a really strong position because if you think about it, the majority of people are on 2-year deals for next year, starting next year. So whoever the next talented kid coming through is, you can try and get him signed early and put yourself in a good position. So that's how I see it. And I don't know if it's been announced if it is a 2-year deal. I mean, usually they are, aren't they?
It has. It has. Yeah, it is a 2-year deal.
So why would you? Think about it. It makes no sense.
But you can say a 2-year deal and it's a 1+1. It has performance clauses in it, and all of them do have performance clauses in it. And yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. I sort of think, and with what Gunther was saying in terms of an experienced rider, it's all very well. You don't know, you can't measure the level of rookies, especially when the bike's not been performing well, you don't know where it's going to be. One thing is, though, with Marini, he's not going to throw it down the road week in, week out, is he? You are getting a very, very solid performer, an intelligent lad who gives good feedback by all accounts. He's engaging, and there is a point, and I've seen this with the Bastianini announcement. He's going to go to Trackhouse Aprilia. We knew that was coming, but I quite like the little videos that they did announcing that. And the people going, yeah, well, he's had his time. He's had his chances. And yeah, I think that's fair for both of them. Luca Marini's actually one of the only riders in the field not to have won, actually. I think there's only 4 riders who've not won in MotoGP. One of them being Pedro Acosta as well. But there also comes a point, and I don't know if a lot of people appreciate that. You could replace people who've had unperforming years every year, couldn't you? You could just get rid of them. But there comes a point when you've got to have a bit of consistency. You've got to have a bit of experience. You also need to satisfy sponsors, satisfy people who are paying a lot of money to be on the side of your bike, that you are going to bring the bike home. It's not going to be tumbling in the gravel every single week, that you are going to get some results here. And I suppose as much as it is for Marini, I think more so with Bastianini, you're almost guaranteed you're going to get some results along the way. There's a fine line to go, isn't there? You can't just chuck everything out every single year. Otherwise, anyone who's not winning every year will be out on the rear.
Yeah, and as we know, sometimes it depends on what bike you're on. Obviously, the Yamaha riders, for example, this year, you can't expect them to win or even be in the top 10. So, no, I totally agree. And next year is a huge shake-up. We're losing 5 of the current MotoGP riders. I can't remember the last time that happened. I mean, it's a big change, that. So, yeah, to be losing 6 and to be in a position where you start to say Bastianini is not good enough. I mean, he's won 7 MotoGP races in his time, and he's won some classic races in fine style. He's 28 years old. He's not even 30 yet. I think he deserves another go at it. And also, if you look at Bastianini, for example, and you look at his junior success in Moto3, in Moto2 world champion, the class, the caliber, this is not, it's not a rider that you like. He's never really achieved much. Like more of a Luca Marini. And again, I don't mean it disrespectful towards Marini, but if you compare Marini and Bastianini, you can't, can you? You've got, obviously two similar age Italians, but one rider's had a lot more success than the other. So I think it's a great signing for Trackhouse. I mean, obviously they're losing Ayagura, which is a disappointment for them. But Bastianini can be special at times. And if he gets the feeling, the way I look at an Aprilia would really suit Bastianini. I know obviously the big changes for next year, so you never know how it's all going to look. But I'm excited about that signing.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's got a similar style to Jorge Martin, hasn't he, in a way, the way that he gets off the side of the bike. But like Ayagura, keeps tyres underneath him. It's something that has been one of his strong points, whether it be with Ducati, whether it be now with KTM. He tends to come forward at the end of races. And if you've got an Aprilia that works well on tyres, who knows? Who knows how it's going to work with Pirellis as well? There's that transition to make. He made the transition in his day from Dunlop to Michelin. So who knows? Maybe he's got that ability to transfer between different tyre manufacturers. Some do, some don't. We'll be able to find that out. But yeah, he's signed up for Trackhouse Aprilia. Right, we're going to take another quick break, Neil. When we come back, we'll just talk about the returning Joan Zarco, and another Frenchman might have a message for us. It's the final part of Gas It Out ahead of the Aragon Grand Prix this weekend. We are talking, what is it now? 3 months pretty much since Barcelona, where Joan Zarco was involved in an absolutely horrific smash on the second restart, or the first restart, the second race anyway. And yeah, he's coming back this weekend, Neil. We weren't necessarily expecting him back before the end of the season at one point this year. He hasn't had surgery. Doctors have said he still needs to pass a medical. Cal Crutchlow is going to be on standby this weekend in case he doesn't pass that medical or in case he has discomfort. I'm sure it'll be a case of review after FP1. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Zarco coming back? I know you're not going to profess to be a
knee specialist,
a doctor, a knee specialist or anything like that. But go on, what's your take on Joan coming back?
Well,
this weekend?
I'm in shock because obviously such a horrible crash, one of the worst, your worst nightmare, getting your leg caught in a motorcycle that flips in the gravel and then the aftermath of him lying there with his leg bent at some acute angle where you just knew that his leg was either mangled, like bone-crushingly, femur shattered or tib and fib shattered, or you've got a knee joint that will never be the same again. I mean, the initial reports were knee destroyed, completely destroyed, out for the season if he's lucky. They were the initial reports, and we all thought, we looked at his age, you thought about everything, and you thought, that's probably going to be him done. Unfortunately, no one wants to end a career in a gravel trap. But again, we were like, what a career he's had. And then there was the delay to any surgery because of all the burns. Then the reports of no surgery on his knee. So we're like, that's a strange approach. Surely his knee was destroyed. And then the first time someone said Zarco was going to be back, I'm like, nah, that's wrong. He won't be back. He won't be back this year.
It was Lucio to us in the paddock, wasn't it?
And then when we saw Lucio and he's shown us a video of him on a supermoto bike, we're like, wow. So, look, Zarco, the only reason Zarco's back is because he knows he can ride that bike. So he'll pass the medical and he'll be able to ride, because he wouldn't waste everyone's time. Obviously, Cal's been an incredible stand-in, really, to say he's been so rusty. So, yeah, I think bravo, chapeau, as Silvan would say. And I look forward to seeing him back. I mean, we all love Zarco. The paddock's better for having the fiery Frenchman in it.
There have been a few noises about the fact that Joan isn't sure he can ever get fit again, fully fit. Seen what's happened with Frankie Morbidelli. He had a similar kind of injury with his knee, didn't he? Destroyed a lot of the ligaments in, and his career has not been right ever since. There were rumours, there were noises, there were talks, whispers around the paddock that he may well even, Joan, consider not coming back to racing and may consider a testing role for Honda. How much of then do you read into that in terms of him coming back this weekend to see where he's at, so that Honda and LCR can make some decisions going forward, can have a see, look, let's just have a see where we're at. Is it, Silvan always talked about the position that you have to get to on a bike. You're so cramped on top of a modern MotoGP machine, on top of a race bike, that he's unsure if he can ever get back to that kind of feeling again. Do you think that plays a part in it at all? It may be a silly question, but I mean, it's important that we ask it.
It could, Gav, but in all reality, he'll have been riding bikes. Normally when MotoGP riders are away, where they're training, a lot of the time they ride smaller bikes, even more cramped riding positions. So don't get me wrong, there's only a MotoGP bike can put those certain forces through your body. So, but there's one thing, Zarco wouldn't be riding if, one, he wasn't fit, B, he wasn't strong enough, C, he's going to be a danger to people. So, but I also understand the question, and it's a good question, of, well, surely Honda need to be making a plan just in case he's out for next year. So, and maybe this could be the ultimate lifeline for Moto2, Manuel Gonzalez. But yeah, how cool would that be for Gonzalez? Obviously, it's sad for Zarco, but Gonzalez, who's leading the championship, who's not got a MotoGP ride. I mean, who else would you put on it? He's your man, isn't he?
I'm not looking like he'll get a World Superbike.
No, it sounds like
the World Superbike ride that he'd want. Yeah. It's sounding more and more, isn't it? Like Alex Rins is getting a Go 11 Ducati, and obviously he wouldn't want to go there as Manuel Gonzalez. The only one he'd really want would be the factory Ducati, but it sounds more and more like Frankie Morbidelli's going to be on that Aruba Ducati for next year. So if Manu maybe sits tight and then does wait and see, which it's awful to say and hope, because I know Zarco's contract is up at the end of next year, isn't it? He's one of these who has the contract at the end of next year. Sounds cruel, doesn't it? Yeah. But maybe that's what he's got to do.
Yeah, and Zarco 34 now. I think he is. He's one of so, I mean, he's had an incredible career. So if he can't get back to not only the fitness, but let's say the form that we saw him have this year, then, maybe that'll be his last year. And that would open the door for Gonzalez.
Right, we're two-handed this week. Unfortunately, no Silvan Guintoli. From one Frenchman to another. Let's hear what message Silvan has got for us this week. He's probably up on his holidays again, isn't he?
All right, lads. Right, so before we start though, there's one thing I think that needs to be said. there's only two of us that are at the seaside eating mussels or calamaris with vino bianco or whatever, and enjoying themselves around a GP track. I'm actually at home working, grafting. I've been doing quite a lot of training actually to prepare for the Bol d'Or. So it's all endurance stuff, cycling, running. I want to do well in that race, which is in September, mid-September, after the race in Misano. So yeah, I've been doing some training. And today actually, Susie is coming home. We're filming at home. We're working on a really exciting project that will be coming out soon. So yeah. It's all work on my side. Now, what about your side? I think there's a lot of exciting stuff that's going on there in Misano. I do wish that I was there, OG, to be holding your pit board, be a bit your mental coach, give you a bit of grief as well over the lap times. That would have been pretty cool. But I'm sure you're gonna love it and enjoy it. And I mean, what an opportunity! Really riding a MotoGP bike, a current MotoGP bike on a current MotoGP track like Misano. You are going to love it. So I hope you get good weather and you can give it some beams. We still want to know the lap time though. So yeah, Gav, I hope that you are going to be getting the watch out just to make sure that there is proof about what's going on. But anyway, really, really very much looking forward to see that on TNT very soon. And what else? Yeah, well, Aragon is coming, so that's going to be a good one. I mean, it's exciting again. Like every race for this year, we don't know what's going to happen. And this one is particularly exciting because, you know, Marc Márquez very much on the back foot in Silverstone, more than we thought. We saw as well that in the Ducati Inside, the YouTube series that they do, his reaction straight after the race, and I'm not too sure that he would have been too happy about that, but they put it out on YouTube, and yeah, his reaction was, he said, and it was genuine, he said, I couldn't feel my arm. I mean, that's bad. That's really bad, and potentially that's really bad for him for the rest of the championship. So Aragon is going to be one where we're going to see where he's at, because it's one of his favorite tracks. He won last year. He's got a great record around that track. You know, it's not like Sachsenring, but not far off. And yeah, we're going to see what he's made of. We know the Ducati is strong there as well. The three Ducatis were on the podium last year. And it's one of the tracks actually where Aprilia struggled last year. So, I mean, it was early on in the season, and they obviously improved the performance Aprilia in the second part of the season. So, but Aragon, they were far back. I mean, Bezzecchi was first Aprilia, and he was more than 15 seconds back from Marc Márquez winning the race. So a big gap. So it'll be interesting to see how the Aprilias are going to go. Really interesting to see how Marc is going to go, how he's going to perform in Aragon. And I think if he can perform, then you know he's going to be in the mix for the championship. If he struggles in Aragon, it's going to be a tough ask, and it will mean that you know his injury is worse than we think. So yeah, loads at stake, and it's going to be super impressive and super exciting to see what they can do. Lots of tire wear in Aragon. I mean, you would have covered all that in a podcast anyway, but I think the big thing is how Marc is going to do. Easy, a championship contender, and we're going to find out. Right, I've got to go now because Susie is waiting for me for this interview, and I wish you all the best. Oggi, have fun on that bike. Please don't. You must have been pooing yourself last night. I don't know if you slept or, but just try and enjoy it, and yeah, make the most of it. What an opportunity! I mean, you got to think next year that those bikes, they're going to be 850s. They're going to be so different. This is the last chance to try the proper missiles with the right height devices and so on. So yeah, take it all in, and don't roll off too much in the Corvone. Right, see you guys.
Well, we missed Silvan this week, didn't we, Neil? But we'll be seeing him this weekend at the Aragon Grand Prix. It's going to be hot, isn't it? That's one thing we haven't talked about this weekend, Neil, before we say goodbye. We are in a bit of a desert when we're up there in Aragon. Alcañiz is up there on the plateau. It's sort of like a moon-like landscape that you get in the back shot. And we are going in the end of summer. end of August. Mad Dogs and Englishmen and MotoGP riders it's going to be this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be sweltering. It's going to be sort of 30s. Whenever it's 30s at Aragon, it's a bit miserable, isn't it? Like you said, it feels a bit desolate. You feel like you're on the moon when you're out there. The landscape around's pretty barren, lots of dust balls, and being like 35 degrees on race day is going to feel a little bit toasty.
Right, a final word in terms of your prediction for the weekend. Which way do you see it going? Can you call it at this stage?
Well, no, you can't call it because of everything we've just said over the last 46 minutes. But
well, go on, but make a fool of yourself then, Neil.
No, I don't like to do that. So I'm going to go for Marc Márquez for the double. I know, obviously. If you go back on all these episodes, how many times have I not said that? I'm always edging my bets, but I do feel like it's going to work for him, and he's going to perform and deliver. So, what do you think, Gav?
I'm excited to see what happens more than anything. I was really worried by those scenes after the Silverstone race, but then I was telling myself, as I said earlier in the episode, there were worrying times early on in the year at Assen, for example, where it didn't necessarily work. And then look what happened, at some of the other races. So, yeah, I sort of feel like he's going to get back, isn't he? He's going to be back to the mark we saw perhaps at the Czech Republic or, Sachsenring, another of his favourite circuits. And there's every chance that he's going to be there. I think if you head into this weekend, I don't know what the bookies are saying, but they would have, if you were a bookie, you're making the odds on Marc Márquez, no doubt about it. So I think that's where you've got to look ahead of the Grand Prix weekend. We will be back with another episode of Gas It Out when we come back from the Aragon Grand Prix. Contact us, as always, at Gas It Out Pod on Instagram, and you can watch these episodes in full on YouTube. Probably switch off the screen because you don't want to see our ugly mugs right in the middle of your screen. But you can watch it on there as well and make a few comments underneath. And we'll be back with an episode when we come back from Spain after the weekend. For now, thank you very much, Neil. Good luck later today on the Ducati Desmercedes 1000cc MotoGP bike, pumping out nearly 300 brake horsepower around one of the tightest circuits on the whole MotoGP calendar here in Misano, where Ducati have been testing all day with their 850 bikes, and the track will be in perfect condition for you. Good luck. Help. If in doubt, Neil, what you need to do you know what you need to do?
I'm just going to gas it out.
Gas it out. Gas it out.